Greetings all, D&Disability here. This is going to be a remake. So for those of you who have seen the original video, the 60 of you that is, thank you for watching it and I hope you enjoy this re-release. This one will have better audio and we'll fix some of the issues my previous one had. So with that, let's get back into it. Greetings all, it's time for something a little different. Gareth over at the DMG.info way back in 2015 published a little adventure and I finally had a chance to run it successfully.
The before times. But seriously, why are we reviewing a module?
Well, Gareth offered a fully modern digital module. He used his terrain, his YouTube channel, and a combination of text-based PDF and images to give the best player and DM experience he could, leaving very few points for consideration. So, in short, this module is exceptionally accessible, easy to read, system agnostic, most easy to implement, and will fit almost any fantasy game. All of these points are, of course, worth this brief discussion.
It only took him 3 attempts, 2 different DMs, and multiple years to do it. Why'd y'all struggle to run it anyways? It seems like a good module to me.
Well, stick around and I will tell you, but this time we won't be alone. The spirits of the blackboard will give us their advice.
Why, thank you. I'm a victim, a player of no particular importance.
Everyone welcome Brad, today's spirit of the blackboard. He comes from the great beyond, the very bowels of the internet, to give his opinion as a player.
Indeed, most excellent. Thank you for heeding our call. The Netherworld is a very busy place this time of year.
Well, don't leave us in suspense. What's this module all about?
This adventure will have you plumbing the depths of a tavern keeper's basement, combating vermin, undead, and solving multi-generational mysteries. For those that want to check out the adventure, check Drivethrurpg. It's only $3. You can't go wrong for a $3, 28-page system agnostic 5-floor dungeon.
This is an extensive module that really can't be played in one sitting. You'll want to play with a good variety of characters. Success of the party will strongly depend on a characters supporting each other.
Spoilers, my dude. If any one of y'all listen beyond this point, you've been warned. Send this video to your DM, your grandma, your aunt, your uncle, anyone you can talk into running this module for you.
Well, before we continue with our program, I'd like to take a moment and show off a friend of mine's store. Folks over at Paint Minis Live have a bit of a readout for you. You use the link down below whenever you purchase something from them. Gives me a little kickback and we'd greatly appreciate it. So please feel free, give them a check out and have a listen. And we'll get back to the program.
Unleash your imagination with PaintMinisLive.com, where game night is a critical success. Elevate your RPG sessions with our curated collection of miniatures, paints, and everything you need to gather your friends around the table. We've got what you need to create epic adventures.
Plus, when you shop with us, D&Disability gets a share of the loot,
So level up your gaming experience at PaintMinisLive.com, your one-stop shop for all things tabletop. We provide the fun, you provide the friends.
All right. Well, the story opens with a dark and stormy night. Best kind. The party is inside the tavern and the owner approaches them with a simple request to purge the vermin in their basement.
Yes, killing rats in the basement, an oldie but a goodie.
But wait, there's more! The dungeon is written so it can be any vermin, any treasure, any game you want to use. And it's better. As the party explores the first floor, they'll find more than vermin.
There are larger, fouler things than rats in the depths of the ancient world.
Wrong book, Tunka. They also went in search of the innkeeper's kid. He likes to map the basement and explore.
I think you mean light, cause you don't live long in a D&D world where you go solo adventuring. Hello.
Well, yeah, the first few rooms will be the generic vermin as the party explores the first floor. All will seem normal until they reach the causeway. This is a slick area that requires either careful planning or balance checks to cross. This is where the party gets a first glimpse, or maybe even an interaction with the monster in the water.
Ooh, so the players are in the dark, by a body of water, and see a tentacle monster. Are we sure this isn't Tolkien?
Well, only a little bit. My players had an exceptional reaction to this section. What did you think, Brett? This is one of the main encounters for the floor. While Gareth recommends a giant octopus or something, I'm a bit of a bastard and put an aboleth against a first level party.
This encounter ramped the seriousness of the dungeon. Where did this creature come from? What was its source of food? What were we doing here anyway?
Well, I could safely say that the player characters are the source of the food. And so, doing what player characters do, they decided to go fly fishing with party members as bait. It did work out in the end. One got turned into scum and dominated, but they managed to track it down and save their friend in the end.
Some people pay for that and call it a good time, right? There's another creature on the first floor. Gareth leaves it up to the DM. I chose a basilisk. In truth, it's trapped back behind a portion of the floor that will not be open until the party releases it. At some point, the party is likely to find an unmarked switch in the abandoned mining area. Throwing the switch releases the monster, and fun and frivolity will ensue.
Throwing unmarked switches is always a great idea. Cannot recommend it enough. But just to summarize, you put an aboleth and a basilisk against a first level party, you are a dick.
In my defense, the module told me to put an unbeatable monster that could chase the party throughout the dungeon and down to the second floor. I didn't think my party was suicidal enough to fight the basilisk.
Well, I'm wearing his armor right now. Uh, we were not suicidal. We were merely angry, and that thing was in our way.
Well, we did stone 3 of you, I think, and well, all in all, I think it's a good first floor. There's the basement section, the mining section, the under construction sections, and even a small sewer section that leads down to the second floor. In fact, if you wanted, you could simply end the dungeon after the second floor, and indeed, that's where most party members seem to stop. But we'll get to that soon.
Hey, wait a minute. Before we move on, I've got some beef.
And what is that, Tunga?
Well, this dungeon is great and all, but Gareth didn't mark any of the secret doors. When were you going to mention that?
Yeah, it's probably the only major gripe I have. In his YouTube videos, Gareth shows where the doors are. If I have to watch them all through multiple times, but I eventually figured it out. Seriously though, the videos were a major help and they helped overcome this shortcoming.
So the monster didn't chase him to the second floor. In fact, they killed it, and you have to tell the party the innkeeper's son was missing?
Yep, the party went back in search for him. During the search for the kid, they found the MacGuffin for the adventure. Hidden behind a secret door was a magical axe. It could have been any weapon. I just like axes.
So did Mr. Proser, and we know how that ended. That axe would be a real bear for your party, but on to the second floor.
Indeed, the second sees the party exploring an alchemical laboratory and nearly tripping over the body of the innkeeper's son. But first, let's set the scene.
The old door opens into a large vaulted area. This used to be a large room, but the floors and northern and southern walls have collapsed into the darkness below. A chasm extends north to south. There is little space on either side. A wind blows through the area coming up from the south. It carries on it the groaning sound. To the north are exposed balustrades that still hold up some walls and would have been holding up walls in this area. This is a wall visible to the west. A wooden post on the northern edge of the opposite side of the chasm is just visible in the dimness. Immediately out of the south of the entrance in this area of muddy water, with a waterfall cascading out of the ceiling high above. To the south of that is a short passage and a closed, simple wooden door. In the passage is a small, dead body. Dun, dun, dun.
We won't be reading any more of the box text in this module, I assure you. Thank you. This is the sticking point for the module. The boy is supposed to get up and leap off the edge of the precipice into the blackness below, but my party decided to carry him out of the dungeon and return him to his mother, like any sensible person would.
So you had to resort to some extreme measures to get the party to return to the dungeon. They had other quests to do, or maybe don't give them so many options the next time.
But, after I had the magical axe possess a party member and Frog marched them back into the dungeon, well, they went back to exploring. Floor 2 is largely a mess of falling apart rooms, corridors, and bridges. Once the party crosses a major gap and works their way across some bridges, they get to find a key, a metal rod, and fight some undead when they get there.
In your game, they were chasing another PC around the dungeon while they bellowed, "Return the axe," like that scene Courage the Cowardly Dog, right?
Exactly! Once they move into the sealed room, the room begins to shake and the skeletons descend from on high, literally falling out of the masonry. With them defeated, the party can advance to the next section, and as soon as they do, the room collapses and seals them in.
Luckily for you, they were too busy chasing their friend down to the third floor rather than panicking or trying to dig themselves out.
This is where the mapping flew out the window. The party had no choice but to follow our friend. It was a Keystone Cops type of chase, through a maze.
Floor 3 was a bit of a problem for me as a DM. The party starts by leading down this long exterior hallway, which progressively slopes down into a flooded section with undead. I think my players would have gone down the flooded hallway unless they were chasing one of the other party members. Of course, that's what they were doing.
The layout was also confusing. Rooms 2 and 3 are said to be flooded in the descriptions, but not on the map. Room 16 is flooded, and he showed that. So why not show it for areas 2 and 3?
Yeah, this is the problem when you really heavily rely on terrain as a DM. Problem like this is inevitable. It's why I don't really use terrain personally. That said, I do wish he had a side view. The north door in room 3 is on the second story. And I would have liked a diagram of how the room looked before it was flooded, or at least a side view.
Right. The main gimmick of this floor is a fight with a doppelganger in room 4. And that was pretty cool. The party was still chasing the possessed character the whole time. So it must have been pretty crazy.
Our friend was still moving fast, and we had collapsed enough floors that to return seemed unlikely. Navigating flooded rooms was rather unpleasant.
Fair enough. And following the combats, the party actually has to turn a capstan and backtrack to room 16 in order to proceed down to the next floor. Before we move on, I want to talk about the Blood God.
Blood for the Blood God.
Well, yeah, kinda. There's a vampire lingering on this floor by a blood fountain.
Your players named him Sanguini, and he proceeded to chase them through the entire dungeon. He charmed Brad, ambushed the party. They couldn't keep him down.
The vampire's coffin is on the second floor, and the party couldn't get back to it. So they were trapped in a locked room scenario with a pissed vampire, a dominated fighter, and a possessed party member. Good times, good times. So every random encounter they had just became this vampire. Seriously, though, this was kind of my favorite part of the dungeon. What are your thoughts, Brett?
Being charmed by a vampire was really no fun, at least for the other party members. I, as a player, was only along for the ride.
Level 4 begins with the 3-lever door puzzle. As written, Garrett's puzzle does not have any consequences for brute forcing it, so that's what your party did.
Follows is a small collection of rooms and another capstan. The capstan actually closes the secret door that leads from floor 5 back up to the boss room on an inaccessible portion of the 4th floor. So, that's fun. My party didn't end up going that way anyway, as we shall see.
Overall, the beginning section of the 4th floor was pretty unremarkable.
Party can access the rest of the floor from floor 5. either by a ladder on the eastern side or by a hidden stairwell on the western side.
Your party chose the eastern path. They worked their way into a hidden treasure room with a self-sealing door, crossed the sewage-filled quagmire, and nearly died to an electric trap.
Yeah, I had to alter the module a bit there. Sorry, guys. If I hadn't, you all would have been dead from over 100 foot of electrified corridor. When they made it to the end, they found a kick-ass healing pool.
It could have even restored the party member who died to the spiders on the first floor.
Yeah, it's a shame they didn't drag their friend's dead body down floor 4 of the dungeon. Thanks, Gareth. We really could have used this magic pool about 3 floors ago. But seriously, it was a great inclusion. Sometimes the dungeon can really help the party, not just hurt. Well, but afterwards they did something rather module breaking. They chiseled through a stone secret door with their magic weapons and found the boss room via the back door.
Dun, dun, dun. But we'll talk about that later. Any thoughts on this section, Brad?
At this point, we felt we were out of options. We had to resort to drastic measures.
For now, on to the 5th floor.
Indeed. Of the 5 levels of this module, this is probably the one I have the most issue with. Yes, I agree. Let's rewind. Level 5 begins with a spooky statue room, ladder up to a secret sewer area, and a pillar room that could let the party reach the hidden area of level 3.
There was also that locked crystal door that led to a teleportation crystal. Didn't one of your players use that to teleport to a library on level 3 and the party had to go find him or something?
Yeah, this area has a lot in it. Gareth really packed a lot in here. I think it's a bit much for a pair of 5th level rooms. They really are the nexus point for the dungeon here. But that's not the main problem with this level.
Was it the capstan puzzle on level 4 or was it the ghost room?
Oof. My party ended up using the crystal key and teleporting into the ghost room. That way, they made the possessed party member happy and got rid of the cursed axe and, of course, the ghost in them. And, well, they had to go off to find the other party member, of course, the one that yeeted himself up into the library.
And now our quest involves exploration from a direction the author had not intended. Up a pillar and through a sequence of areas not yet explored.
And you'll see why these ghosts matter later. But that whole situation seemed pretty chaotic, yeah. They did split the party, which is always a great idea.
Well, once they climbed up the pillar and found the wizard in the library, the party went through the sewer area, that long electric tunnel that we talked about, and began chiseling their way through the stone door into the boss room. They skipped the rest of this level. For the sake of review, we'll cover it here.
That capstan on level 4 actually controls a huge secret door on level 5 that's supposed to lead up to the boss room. This seems a little convoluted to me. The dungeon has gone out of its way to be logical. It has gone from temple to arcane laboratory and even has a history as a small mine and storeroom. Why is this trap here?
The aboleth I had fight party back on level 1 wasn't alone either. There's another one in the hidden area on this floor. Although it's kind of a quantum aboleth, the module recommends the creature be the same type as the one in the aquatic pool just before the boss door, but we'll get to that. My party missed an evil genie stroke demon thing that was also imprisoned down here in a random lamp. And if they made it past all that, there was a secret tunnel which led to yet a whole other dungeon.
Why would the party go into a new dungeon when they were sealed down in this one? Even if they found this once, the path on level 3 was sealed, and they'd have to go back through the entire dungeon to explore this new one. That makes no sense.
It seems to me that this 5th floor needed an overhaul. There are some great ideas here, but it feels like one floor too many. From what you saw of it, what do you think, oh magical guest from the worlds beyond?
Well, our lack of making a cohesive map was causing problems. We knew where we had to go, but nothing looked right. We just wandered.
All right, now, what you've all been waiting for, the boss, the BBEG, the monster at the end of the journey, the final test of our would-be heroes, the challenge to beat all challenges,
I think they get it. All right. Say your party ascends the stairs, skips past the stepping stones, through a flooded room with another tentacle monster and a horde of undead. They made it through all that and into the boss room. What do they get?
Well, in the middle of the room is a large black stone, and the spirit inside the stone will possess each party member in turn unless they have one of 3 holy symbols that were hidden throughout the dungeon. The party will naturally beat the possessed party member unconscious. Then one of 2 things happens.
Either one. The final possessed party member marches through the dungeon, performs a ritual, and the BBEG escapes. Or 2, the ghosts that the party helped show up to defeat the evil, and, well, the final battle is over.
That's not how I remember it at all. You have the fallen party members pilot the ghosts and have them fight the specter in a normal combat.
Well, yeah, what Gareth had planned, well, was kind of dumb.
The party wasn't even allowed to save or resist.
No, seriously, they took the whole quote-unquote possession and kill your friends thing pretty well, because, well, 2 of them had the holy symbols, and regardless of how you do it, DMs, I recommend you change what the module recommends here. No matter how you slice it, the ending is either very cinematic or very railroady.
Following that is just a secret passage, a hidden treasure chamber, and a dash to the exit, and the adventure was done.
Overall, I think this was a great adventure. The first 3 floors were excellent. Floors 4 and 5 were a little convoluted for my liking, but who knows, maybe you'll love it. I recommend you give it a try.
I liked the adventure, but there were problems. Players will find the collapsing floors to be troublesome, and that vampire causes nothing but grief.
I recommend you mine it for the ideas. Steal the first and second levels and maybe parts of the other ones. Use this as an inspiration for building your own dungeon. And speaking of inspiration, let us know what inspires you in the comments below.
We will not be doing module reviews often, but I think the multimodal format of this module made it deserve the spot on the channel. For as confusing as parts of it were, the videos, text-based PDF, high-quality maps really did help, even if I'd have preferred a graph paper map over the high-quality terrain pictures. Anyway, that's enough. You know the drill. Leave a like, blah, blah, blah. See you in a couple weeks.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.